somebody borrowed $600 billion last year. It was not you. It was the companies building AI, and they borrowed it from the same pool of savings your mortgage comes from. This week, the 10-year Treasury hit its highest level since 2007. If you carry a $400,000 mortgage, one bank's estimate says that borrowing is costing you about $79 a month. Nobody decided to raise your rate. They just needed the money more. That is the whole trick, and it is legal. Start with what happened this week, because you felt it even if you did not see it. Government bonds sold off around the world. The US 10-year hit 4.75%, its highest since 2007. The 30-year, its highest since 2002. Germany at a 15-year high. France, highest since 2008. Japan at a 30-year high. The trigger was a war. But a war does not explain why every country's rate went up at once. Something bigger is drinking from the well. Here is the part nobody explained to you when you signed. Your mortgage rate is not set by the Federal Reserve. It follows a 10-year Treasury, usually about 1.5 to 2 points above it. Car loans lean on the same benchmark, and that benchmark is a price. The price of borrowing from one pool of savings that everyone on earth draws from. Governments, companies, you. When a very large borrower shows up at that pool, the price goes up for everyone in line. This year, a very large borrower showed up. The economist Carl Weinberg put it this way on CNBC: for as long as anyone can remember, the government was the one hyper borrower. It borrows first, pays whatever it takes, and whatever is left over goes to everyone else. Now, he says, there is a second one, what he called the collective AI enterprise. By his estimate, it borrowed up to $600 billion in the past year, with $200 billion more, quote, already in the hopper. Two hyper borrowers, one pool, and you are the everyone else. This is not one man's theory. Bloomberg reported the day before. Investment-grade companies have sold nearly $1.5 trillion of bonds this year, up 36%, on pace to break the record set when rates were near zero. Nomura estimates that the biggest tech companies alone borrowed about $200 billion, equal to 25% of what the U.S. Treasury itself sold to private investors. 5 times what it was last year. Alphabet sold 30-year bonds near 6.4%. A bond funding a metadata center paid over 7.5. That is a lot of hands reaching into one. Well, now the number that turns this from their story into yours. Bank of America's economists estimate that this wave of corporate borrowing pushed the 10-year rate up by about 0.3 of a percentage point this year. 0.3 sounds like nothing. So let us do the division, ours, not theirs. On a $400,000 mortgage at today's rate, 0.3 of a point is $79 a month, $949 a year, about $28,000 over the life of the loan, for a decision you were not in the room for. Now, be fair, because the people we are quoting were, AI is not the biggest reason your rate is where it is. The government runs a deficit near $2 trillion a year, the economy stayed strong, and a war in the Middle East pushed oil past $90. Bloomberg calls those the primary forces. AI borrowing is the newest one and the one growing fastest. JP Morgan expects $5.5 trillion of AI infrastructure spending through 2030. One fund manager said it plainly, this story has really just begun. And it is not only the mortgage. Today, the average new car loan is 6.94%. The average credit card is near 25%. Every one of those sits on top of the same benchmark that just hit a 19-year high. So when you read that, a company sold 30-year bonds at 6.4 or a data center borrowed at 7.5, that was not their news. That was yours. It just arrived on a different envelope. So here's a pattern, and it is the same one on every file in this unit. Nobody committed a crime. Borrowing is legal, and building is legal, and every dollar of this was disclosed. No one sat down and decided to raise your rate. They decided they needed the money, and the price of money is set by who is in the room when it is borrowed. You were not in the room. This is not investment advice. It is one question, and it is yours now. The next time your rate moves, who is standing at the well? This file stays open. Subscribe.